Greetings, Junction City Today fans. I am your host, Craig Bielek, just like the words say right there. And we are so fortunate today to be joined by Kelly Carper, who is the curator at Argo House. Now, we've had people from Argo House on before, and it's always great, always great. Kelly, welcome out today. We never had Kelly on before. You're a newbie, right?
Yes.
Right. Kelly is the curator at Argo House, and I know what you're saying right now at home. You're like going, what in the whatever word you use is a curator, right? And that's why we have you on today. So, Kelly, explain what is a curator and what does a curator do?
So a curator organizes art exhibitions. So it's usually around a theme. I choose the artists. I work with the artists to pick which pieces that we're going to present in the show. We come up with a title for the show together. I organize the art in specific ways within the exhibition space. And then hopefully it kind of tells a narrative or a story or sparks conversations around the work.
So back in kindergarten, the teacher said, what do you kids want to be when you grow up? And one of the boys said, I want to be a fireman. The other kid said, I want to be a policeman. You were like, I want to be an art curator, right?
Pretty much.
How did you come upon this profession?
So I studied art history and PR in college, and I wanted to work in art museums. So that's really where most people would recognize the term curators in an art museum. So all the exhibitions that you see in these big museums for artists, but also for historic artifacts, somebody is behind that, choosing the theme and all the pieces and analyzing the history and what the work is saying. So that's where the curator comes in. So that's something that I wanted to do, and I ended up working in art galleries, which I really liked, working with living artists and curating shows that were just open to the public all the time, and also supporting the artists by selling the work too.
That's interesting. We have something in common.
Yeah.
I studied art history and PR.
No, you didn't.
No, I really did. And my favorite art history teacher, oh, bless his soul, he just passed away, Arthur Edelman up at Weber State. Arthur, thank you. He was the most wonderful art history teacher. And his test, and you can appreciate this, 50 questions. You got 1 point if you spelled, or you got 1 point if you answered the question correctly. You got a second point if you spelled it correctly. Ooh. So go ahead and spell some of those names of artists in history, and all that kind of stuff. And so that gave you the basis. And then did you get started right out of college, or did you have to... did you have to hunt around? Did you work at Burger King for a while?
Well, I did a lot of waitressing, But I moved to Santa Fe after college for an internship at the George O'Keeffe Museum. So that's where I started. I interned in the education and marketing departments. And then in Santa Fe, there's a huge art market there. So there's over 250 art galleries. So I ended up going down that path after my internship and worked in sales and marketing and management. And then after that, I established my own freelance business. So I do PR and marketing for art galleries and artists, individual artists, and I write for art magazines. So now the curating is sort of an extension of that, as I work with artists and I'm starting to represent them and then get their work in the public realm and connect them with collectors and
that's fascinating. Art is your life.
Yes.
Art is your life. Do you work yourself? Are you an artist?
No, I'm not an artist. No, I'm not an artist. I've dabbled in painting, but it's not really. I'd rather write about it and talk about it than I think do it.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And this is probably so this is a bigger process than you folks out there watching can imagine. Usually you go to an artist and the artist has probably hundreds, if not thousands of pieces of work. And you can usually show like how many? What makes a good exhibit?
It depends, but for this, at least 10 pieces probably would make a good body of work. And for this show, I think we're showing probably about that many, 10 to 12 pieces maybe.
That's cool. And let's talk about this show, because that's the reason you're here today.
Right.
But I do want to hear more about how you put this all together. When you say this show, what are you talking about?
So I'm curating an exhibition at the Argo House, which is where I'm a resident curator. I have my office there, and I'm curating quarterly shows. And so this one is for Linka Konopasek. She's a Salt Lake City artist, but she's from the Czech Republic. Oh, wow. She's a painter and a sculptor, an installation artist, and she has public work all throughout Salt Lake. She's had a recent exhibition at the Utah Museum of Contemporary Art, UMOCA, in Salt Lake City. And I'm curating a show of her three-dimensional paper sculptures at Argo.
Right, and it opens when?
It opens September 6th during the First Friday Art Stroll from 6 to 9.
Right, and for those of you that don't know the Argo House, it's located over there on 25th Street in Ogden, basically kind of kitty corner from the library on there, and it's a wonderful space. You need to go there. There's a lot of reasons to go there. We've had Lauren on the show a lot of times. This is your website right here that's appearing on the screen right now. Well, let's talk about this art and these pieces. First off, you're seeing some of them right behind us, correct? And she tends to work in gray, it looks like, gray and black.
Yeah, so most of these pieces that we see are gray and black. She also uses red, orange, sometimes this acid yellow color. They're all very aggressive, kind of in-your-face colors.
Right, and some of the pieces that you're exhibiting reflect a natural disaster in one way or another.
Yes,
that's interesting. We got to talk about. I mean, this is why we have art. You know, someone looks at a natural disaster and goes, "I can make something out of that."
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So she's a lot of the work is inspired by the beauty of destruction and also the consequences of human behavior when it comes to the environment. So a lot of conversations around climate change and just impacts that we have on the land. And so with these pieces, there are a lot of works that literally look like that, houses kind of coming out of the water, scattered on the water. And so she talks about seeing imagery of these natural disasters. Like if you're looking at aerial footage of a flooding disaster with the houses kind of poking up and the pristine water, or footage of a cyclone or tornado. It's horrific in one sense, but it also it's very enchanting and beautiful if you can look at it out of context. So she's showing that artistic representation of it, but she's also drawing attention to the disasters themselves and hopefully starting some conversations around the long-term effects of human behavior on the landscape.
Interesting. How did you discover her, and why did you choose her for an exhibit?
So I discovered her work. I think I was just searching for local Utah artists, and I found her work through an exhibit that she was represented in the Kimball Art Center in Park City.
Right.
Yeah, so I think it was several years ago, but she had a piece there that I saw, and so I did a little research and found her and contacted her. I saw that she had just had a show come down this summer at the UMOCA Museum in Salt Lake, so I thought she might have some inventory available for an exhibition. And I chose her because I like, and in collaboration with the Argo House, we want to showcase artists who are forward-thinking and who are bringing a new voice or original thought to their medium or to their creative process, and artists who are either selling their work on a marketplace like Santa Fe or Chicago, New York, or who are having museum exhibitions like Linka at UMOCA. She's shown in the Czech Republic and other museums around the country, so that we can really elevate the art scene here in Ogden in the Nine Rails Creative District, and also to kind of inspire our local artists, to educate our local art students, and really use it in that way just to bring some great art into the community. So.
Wow, you have a fun job.
I do. Yeah.
You like it. I can tell.
I do. I love it.
I can tell. With your event, is there an opportunity to meet the artist?
Yes. So Linka will be at the opening reception on September 6th. And we're also going to have an artist talk. And so we haven't settled on a date yet for that, but that'll be announced soon.
Right. I think it might be difficult for some people. A lot of people say, if it's not a horsey and a couple of mountains in the background, it's not art. It's not art, but there's so much more in this world, and this is a great opportunity. This is free, by the way.
Yes.
Absolutely free, and as most of the events at the Argo House are.
Yeah, and it's open. The Argo House is open, during office hours. All the creative businesses work there, kind of 9 to 5 during the week. But if someone wants to see the show and can't make it to the opening, it can also be open by appointment, and so they can contact me to come see the show.
Right, and as a curator too, you have to think about how the exhibit will flow.
Right.
You have to, people think that you just slap it on the wall, but there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you have to think that through. Do you ever run into conflicts with artists? Do they ever say, this piece has to be in, and you go, I don't know?
Not yet. You know, you kind of have to be diplomatic. If an artist really feels strongly about a piece, I usually, unless I really feel strongly in the opposite way about it, I say, well, why not? Let's give it a try and see what happens. So for the most part, it's really fun working with artists, and yeah, I haven't come up with any problems yet.
Great. And obviously right now you've got your eye down the road too, because you've got another exhibit to fill come November or whatever it is that you're going to do that.
In December,
You want to whisper to me what it is? Or is it
it's
like
sort
a big,
of in progress, so I'm not
secret?
sure. I'm not sure yet who that's going to be. So
well, that's really cool. There's a lot of more information for you at the Argo House's website. And here's Kelly's website, too, by the way. And you can keep up with her and find out what she's doing. This is a really nice young lady who is loving what she's doing. You can tell that. And educated. She took art history. You should have taken it from Arthur up at Weber State. He was wonderful. Can you spell chiaroscuro? Can you spell Paul Klee? Can you spell Gustav Klimt? I mean,
yeah.
Okay, good. You would have done fine in Arthur's class. Did we cover it all? Is there anything else you need to get in here?
I think that covers it. Other than the work itself, this three-dimensional paper sculptures, they're dark, they're aggressive, but they're also very poetic and enchanting, like we talked about, and they're going to be really fun. We might have a big tornado in the front, and a lot of dangerous but fun pieces, so it'll be great.
Kind of cool stuff. And some of it, like the stuff that is showing behind us, doesn't actually represent a natural disaster. It's kind of twisty and turny, and some of it looks like animal hair or whatever. Do you understand what she's trying to say with these pieces? Yeah,
so with a lot of the pieces, she's really mimicking organic shapes found in nature. Some of them have that kind of black swan look to them with the feathers. And
I was thinking that, but I couldn't put my finger on what that was.
Yeah. That
movie, if you've seen that movie.
It's pretty creepy, yeah. So it's that repulsive kind of feeling when you first see them, but then as you view the work, it's you kind of notice that artistic flow within it, and it's poetic, and so the longer you sit with it, the more things you discover, so.
I like it. And for those of you looking out there at this art, remember, guys, the best art is not what something looks like. It's what something feels like. That's what Arthur told me. Thanks again, Arthur. Just a great
I think I would
man.
like Arthur.
I'm sure you would. Huge in this community.
Yeah.
And we're glad to have you in this community. You understand you're a transplant. You've only been here for a couple of years.
Yes.
But you're going to work on making Ogden a better and more arty place. Is that right?
I hope so. I hope to contribute to that, yes.
I hope you do, too. This has been delightful to have you here, Kelly.
Thank
you so much.
Me.
Please check out our exhibit one more time. Here is her website. One more time, the dates of the exhibit.
September 6th is the opening during Ogden's first Friday art stroll, and then it's on display at the Argo House through the end of November.
Fantastic, fantastic. Put a little art in your life.
Yeah.
Go out and see something different. Maybe even buy it. I mean, I assume that it's for sale.
It is definitely for sale. You can directly support the artists.
Wow. See, you guys are learning a lot by watching Junction City today. Craig Bielik is your host. Kelly Carper has been my guest today with the Argo House. She's a curator. If you have more questions, hit her website, send her an email. I'm sure she'd be happy to answer those questions. And if you go to the opening night, you'll probably get a chance to meet Kelly, and I would recommend that you do. Join us again on Junction City today. I'm Craig Bielik, your host, always happy to see you. Thanks to all of you who say hello in the community, and we'll see you next time.